Greetings, brothers and sisters. Stop the hammering. One great man once said, stop the hammering. I got a bunch of things to get to here. I got some announcement to make about the big parasite thing, and something I covered yesterday on my other channel. I'm going to say it here as well. And a couple comments to get to, and then also some other funny stuff. Joe Biden, another kind of epic gaffe. But there was this great man who once was upset about hammering.
Demanding to know, where's Nancy?
Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it?
I don't know.
Where's the hammer? Is it on the... Go up on the other floor. Somebody go up there and stop the hammering. Stop the hammering. Call fuck Griffin. I don't care who the fuck to call. Stop the hammering. Empty out the goddamn control room and find out where this is going on. It's either there, or out there somewhere.
Out of control.
Jesus Christ. Crazy sound coming in my ear. This stupid hammering. I told you why I wanted those words cut. It just sucks. It sucks to be out here with this out of control Any thing can come into my ear at any moment. These things. How do you say this guy's last name?
Demanding to know, where's Nancy?
Okay, so we found out who's doing the hammering. My wife and I watched this. One of my viewers sent me this. And we watched this morning together, and we thought it was hilarious. But we thought it was fake. It was an in-school video. But I found a longer clip of it on YouTube. And maybe believing it's real. You know, who knows? Because, and these are just very lame parents. Like, we thought it might have been just some old TV, and they just did it as a YouTube. But here they're actually opening up the TV. This is an extended clip from what we originally saw.
Idiot book, the old one.
Yeah. It's Bunny Rabbit. We were having a Nerf gun fight, right, Daddy?
So I guess the kid's a nightmare. And so they go through unboxing the TV here. And
You want to pause it?
and they're videoing it, their new TV for some reason. Unboxing. And they got the TV here. And the guy's trying to set it up and put it together here. He's got maybe the toolbox out.
Wait, how dusty is it? Like, it was super dusty on the beginning, and now we wiped it all off.
Now we'll put the new one up.
Watch out.
Stop, Leanna.
At least the planner still has a cover on here.
Yeah, we gotta take the plastic wrap off.
So what we first saw was just a kid doing what he did. It starts where I'm about to show you here. A little bit actually further up. And so there is a new TV. They were taping the unboxing because I was like, why would they be taping this? For whatever reason, they're taping the unboxing. And, it could be staged, it could not, but it's still hilarious.
TV works.
You're gonna have to wait, okay? I gotta hook it up.
Leland,
No, you put that
It starts in the TV with a hammer.
hammer back. That's a brand new
What did he
TV.
do?
That's a
no!
brand
He
new
hit
TV.
it with the hammer.
God.
Why do you leave those hammers down? Leland, stop! Leland!
Hey! Leland! Stop it!
Leland!
Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer?
Stop it! It doesn't make any sense.
At least he didn't do it.
Leland!
At least he
Holy
didn't
crap,
do it.
Leland, enough!
You're dead to it.
Oh my God!
Is it on the... Go up on the other floor. Somebody go up there and stop the hammering. Stop the hammering.
Leland! Oh
A
my!
brand new TV!
Do you know how grounded you are?
You just busted a brand new TV!
Leland! Why would you do that? Doesn't make any sense. You wanted to play Xbox, so you broke the TV? Leland!
God, I didn't even take the freaking tag off yet!
No, Leanna, don't touch it. Oh my gosh. Leland!
So now we got two busted TVs.
Leland! What are you doing?
What is the matter with you? What is the matter with you? Stop! Stop it.
Okay, give me the hammer.
Run for your life!
Leland, give me the hammer. Leland, give me the hammer.
Hey!
Hey, stop. Do you like my new shoes?
Leland, okay, stop.
Jesus Christ. Crazy sound coming in my ear, this stupid hammering.
I don't know what's in
That's
those
it,
TVs.
Leland.
You are grounded!
I don't know what's in those TVs. Okay, stop it. Take it away from him.
Go to your room! Go to your room! Why did you do that?
Call Griffin. I don't care who the to call. Stop the hammering.
So that's wonderful. If they fake that, excellent job. That was a great job, if that was staged in some way. I mean, I'm not sure you should involve your kid in something like that. Probably confusing for him. But if it isn't fake, that kid just is running things over there. That kid's a nightmare. And the parents can't do anything about it because they're just, lame and whatever. Because if that actually was real, they should have taken that hammer away. Okay, so I made an announcement on my other channel, and then I need to make it here too, just because some people don't watch, some people watch one channel, not the other. But this is now a bear-free zone. The big parasite will only be referred to as the big parasite or BP or big P or whatever it is, or some other, derogatory nickname. Because I'm not promoting the guy, I'm not promoting his channel. People get into these, truth or beefs or whatever, and, just draws attention. And, that was never a part of this thing for me. The guy's toxic, and, he's taken a lot in terms of my content and, using my name as credibility and all these things, right? A lot of, it's been like a parasitic relationship. So much so that I am really seeing how better I feel since this video I made, which is, it's been a week. And I addressed the flat earth hoax, which has always been a, not hoax, more than likely a psyop, because it was very much like it was the first part of the cubies, right? The flat earth was like part one, and the cubies was part two. They go together. And whether it was a psyop or not, and I believe it has destroyed the truth community. And that's a part of this as well. And I should mention, the bear stuff. If you have a bear name, just don't comment. Like the whole bear stuff, it's like a bear-free zone. And, I got lots of quality comments from bears over the years, so, it wasn't something. I was always thought the bear thing was weird, but, whatever. But anyways, let me read a few comments here, and this kind of will make more sense. Let me see it. Here it is here. Paul, this is to the big parasite video. Paul, consider yourself blessed. The situation, in quotes, situation you caused will force you to descend more quickly, thereby giving you a chance to reform yourself in this lifetime. Right? You got some real winners over there. The trolling comments have been really lame, and there's been a lot fewer than I thought, and they've only served to keep the thing going. Because, I forget about what I did yesterday. I'm covering stuff every day. Like I cover, stories and things. And my video I made yesterday, I don't know all the things that are in it, and I'm not even thinking about it. But then the comments come in, and then there's, I might make future videos about something. And the comments from the big parasite community have been really lame. And really, just, what are you talking about? Paul, consider yourself blessed. Like, here's a person, how clueless are you, right? The situation you caused will force you to descend more quickly, thereby giving you a chance to reform yourself in this lifetime. I'm not descending. Like, this thing is very minimal to me. Like, I, didn't want to make the video in the first place, and I said I went through a whole process, where, God, whatever. And I've talked about this. There's a divine aspect to it. And I covered this in the video on my other channel, talking about the firmament hoax, right? And I'm actually going to do maybe a short follow-up on that channel because there's some comments I want to address there that are flat earth in nature. But, I didn't have any relationship here, not really with the so-called bear community, the parasite community, and the big parasite. Like, I didn't. He wanted a relationship. He texted me. It was just like I thought he was, a high-maintenance fan of the show that I didn't really want to deal with because, the stuff that I saw of him, I thought he was, hateful and toxic, and, he was hurting the truth community, and, I wasn't psyched about him using my name. And since then, I felt a great deal of relief because there was a parasitic relationship, and it was draining me. I didn't even know. Like, I had no idea because there just wasn't anything there. And I made the video because I felt like God wanted me to make the video, and there's a process here, which I've talked about, and I've explained it in depth. And then there's been some follow-up videos because people have been leaving comments. Well, let me read this other comment here because this goes with this one here. First video you said this was your last one on him. Then the next one, last one. And now here's another. When I make videos like this, I made like 15 on Michael Jackson, and I only wanted to make one, and I didn't even want to make that one. There was a time when something was going on. Maybe the documentary was released. And there were so many Michael Jackson fans saying he was a truther. It was weird. And it just kept on going. And the way things work is here that information just like is downloaded into my system. Like I can be looking at something or go for a walk and I'll get inspired by information coming in. There's a channeling process, and I'm not calling what I do channeling, but there's just connecting to something higher in the Sajmark system where, I'll just look at something and I'll just know things about it that, I based in my material experience, I shouldn't. I believe if you've ever seen that, the woman Elizabeth something, she wrote Eat, Pray, Love, and she does a great TED Talk. I didn't read Eat, Pray, Love, and I didn't like the movie, but there's another book she wrote on one of these mountain men guys I read. It was a well-written book. But she talked about how there is inspiration like comes from, this outside yourself, right? And it's like there's the word genius came from the word genie came from the word genius. The people used to have a genius. The person wasn't a genius. They had a genius, which was, a higher developed soul or some sort of outer body soul, because it could be a negative one, that inspired them. In the Sajmark system, it said that all the great works have a channeling, whether it's written works or inventions, when people get into a meditative state and information comes to them. And, people are maybe a little bit oblivious to it. Some are more, aware of it than others. But all these inventions, all these great literary works, all these great movies, creative material, comedy and things like this, people get in connected and there's a flow to it. And that happens to me all the time, like on a daily basis. And, I start talking on the microphone and sometimes it's coming in just as I'm talking. So it's it's a free flow of information and being in the zone. And when things come to me like that, and that's what happened originally when I saw the big parasite talking to Dr. Shiva, and there was information that came in that it had if it had been anybody else, I would have made a video right away. But it was somebody who watched my channel, and there's people, and it was all complex, and I knew it was going to be a thing, and so I resisted it, and it weighed on me, and I knew eventually I was going to have to say something because the guy is a disaster for all of us. Like he's a negative entity in the truth community. And that's very clear. And people who don't see it, don't see it. I don't care. I'm not here to convince anybody, but the information comes through me and I present it. And that's it. Like that's how I feel about it. It's out of my hands. It's for you to figure out or not what to do with it. But not steal it and present it to other people like it's yours, like he did. Oh, I also wanted to say I transmitted, transmission through flowed through me for 5 minutes yesterday. And a number of people said they felt it. And I'm going to address that on that other channel, but people can look at the Gratefulness meditation channel that's always linked in the description box for those of you who felt the transmission in my other video. And I'm going to do that again because it seemed to work for some people, and, why not, right? So, for 5 minutes I transmitted, and, transmission flows through me because it's being a conduit. In Sajmarg, what you do is you make yourself into a conduit. And I've done this for a number of years, and, I could just see things, and, explains why I don't have to do as much research. The research I do is for you guys, because, like, my opinion on things is just there. It's given to me, right? I just am able to see things. And, Babaji's diary, like, he would go and say his master Lalaji had been dead for a number of years. And they were intercommuning, and he said, Lalaji took me through this condition. And he said something. He said this to me. And then he said the picture appeared before my eyes, or whatever his phraseology was. Like, it was just, like he would say, this is this thing, and then he would visualize it, and he was being shown. And people who have this kind of relationship with God, it develops, and it's honed over years in meditation, right? And when you meditate, these skills get developed. And it's happened for me, and you can take it or leave it, like whatever, but there's a divine connection there. I've worked to establish a divine connection, a connection between myself and my soul, and, what they call the master within, divinity within. And through the transmission and cleaning in the system is enhanced, the Sajmarg system. And it works, right? Like, people experienced a transmission yesterday who watched the video, or this morning or whatever. Like, there's a number of people left comments saying they tried it and felt it. They felt something. And so I'm just not making it up like there's some imaginary transmission. But if you don't feel it, that's how you'd experience it. You'd be like, these kids, when I worked at the first treatment center, had these books, these magic eye books that is a hologram. And if you let your eyes relax, it used to make me kind of like nauseous when I did it, but, I could do it. But some people couldn't do it. And when your eyes relaxed, you would see the hologram. It was a picture within a picture. And if you didn't see it, you were like, are these guys, these people effing with me, right? If somebody showed you a picture and everyone else can see it, but you can't, you're wondering if they're screwing with you, if they're, if you don't see it, you don't see it. If you don't experience it. And that's how it is with the transmission and the stuff in Sajmarg. The people can feel it, then it's verified. But even with the people who can feel it, they often deny it, or, they quit anyway. I mean, it's just a, weird thing. But anyways, those of you who felt a transmission, I'll do that again, here and other places. And people can benefit from the gratefulness. I have a YouTube channel full of videos and explanations and sittings and things that, I've been doing recently. It's a help to me. The sittings themselves, I verified that they've been working myself. Other people told me they were, but I hadn't tried them. And then I said, well, why not try them myself? And, it happened right around like last week when this stuff was starting to happen. But then there were a few more comments here. Well, let's go back to this one where the person says, consider yourself blessed. Like, think about the arrogance here. The situation you caused will force you to descend more quickly, thereby giving you a chance to reform yourself in this lifetime. Why do you think that this was going to make me descend? Like, it's not really a big deal to me. And like the arrogance, you think like there's some kind of holy thing going on over there. It's a cult. Like, it's a guy who's, he's systematically pissed everybody off in the truth community. He has like just all these haters now because of the way he's treated people. He has these, he spazzes out. He has these tantrums. He's like a baby, right? And just a person that steals, goes from one person to another and steals their stuff and then turns on them. And there's a pattern of behavior. And he's had all these blowouts with these people there. And so this idea that this person said you only made one video, and he said it was the last one. Well, things change. Like, I've always said that. I wish it was the last one because I don't want to give this more attention than it needs. And there are people who don't like it and they don't like the conflict and whatever. But this is just what's happening right now. Like, it had to be dealt with. And there's been a couple of things that have surprised me. One was how negatively he was affecting me, and his thing being associated with it was affecting me. which I had no idea because I had zero idea, and I didn't think it was. To me, it was like nothing, like really just like a little nuisance, like like some fly that's buzzing around you, and you have to deal with it, right? It's annoying, but it's not, it's only for it's only for short periods of time or whatever. The other thing was the comments from the people who have now left that, cult thing, who were a part of it. And, that stuff was disturbing, like the way that he treated them and some of the stuff, like it's way worse than I thought. And the way he was treating other people in the truth community and the truth community in general. This is a very selfish person. Like, we're all selfish, right? We've all trained to be selfish in this system. And some people are just way more selfish. They don't consider anybody else and anything else. And they don't have any, like, he just has a etiquette and things. He doesn't have any, whatever it is. Like, he doesn't have like a code of conduct. And then one of his viewers, let me see if I can go find this thing. Okay, I went and looked for it briefly. There's this guy, Curtis Stone, who got into some kind of beef with the big parasite. And, this is when I was like feeling like I had to make the video. And the beef was over Jordan Peterson. And Jordan Peterson, I don't know much about him. I've seen him a few times. He did an interview with RFK Jr. I saw him there. Not, like someone who I would think of as a truther, whatever he is. But the big parasite was going after Jordan Peterson and Oliver Anthony, right? And this guy wrote a comment somewhere about it on the big parasite's Twitter page or something. And he went after this guy, Curtis Stone, who's some kind of like, he's a off the grid person, a farmer, and just a Canadian guy, mild mannered. And the way that, there's someone posted the video of their interview and their beef, and it was very, tensious on the big parasite's part. He was just, insulting, aggressive, and just, having one of his like, hissy fit kind of things. And it was hard to watch, right? Like, I don't disagree with his opinion on Jordan Peterson. Like, I don't, know why the guy commented on his thing. So, there might have been a rebuttal, like, when somebody criticizes you, but it was just over the top. It was like, way too aggressive. And then I looked at his Big Parasite's Instagram, and he had banned the guy. And there was all this stuff about Oliver Anthony, and it was like just this spiraling, as they call it, and just being, like just overreacting to something and making something much worse than it was. And I covered this in, various videos. And in this thing, this guy Curtis Stone wrote, I was trying to have a rational conversation with you, and you were making dick jokes, right? And he called him, the big parasite was calling him Squirtus Stone. And then I got a number of people commenting, saying that all he does is talk about dicks, right? Like, and he said something about me, whatever. Like a child, like he does these childish things. Now, I can laugh at some childish things, occasionally, and I make my own, immature jokes here, once in a while. But like with him, it's just a constant stream of these, immature, like somebody who's in the 8th grade, right? And so, like, I became aware of something that I kind of knew, maybe from just watching little clips of him over the years. Like, I was never, a fan, but I did watch, things that people sent me. And some of the things were just rude and just, icky. And then some guy wrote to me yesterday saying, I read the comment on my other video, but he basically was saying he didn't want his kids listening because of the vulgarity, all these things. It's like somebody who, was like a nerd and they just learned to swear and they, as an adult, like, they couldn't or whatever. And they're just, into it, like in a way that makes other people uncomfortable. And he said the guy, and I heard this from other people in the comments, that he had said he was going to clean up his act, the big parasite, and be more family friendly. Because ultimately it's supposed to be some kind of family community. But, because people are listening to this stuff and their kids are there listening to, these rants and just, inappropriate behavior. But then he said, like, the guy just lost it over the Curtis Stone, some other things, and then with me. And the guy said, like, the guy can't just help himself, right? And so, at the center of this is these dick jokes. And then somebody wrote this to me because there was a big parasite in the title. And one of his followers said this: "The small parasite is in your pants." And it is somebody with a bear name, a bear thing. So what is it? Just like a dickorama over there? What is wrong with you? Why are you concerned about what's in my pants? Why are you even thinking about what's in my pants? Like, how is that relative? The guy is a parasite. Like, I've made the case for him being a parasite. He leeches onto people, truthers, and takes their, whatever it is, their some of their stuff and presents it as his own, or, repurposes it. And then he, attacks the person, tries to steal and pilfer their audience. And, we've seen it. Like, he's done all these things. It's over and over again. It's a pattern of behavior. And then all the things he's got into with his people. And then, people are feeling burned and taken advantage of, and the monetary aspect of the community. And, it's out there. Like, just read the comments in my video. So it's a real thing. It's a real issue, and it's affected us in the truth community. And he's behaved in a way that fits the narrative that the people who are trying to shut us down or want. He's considered a shill or COINTELPRO by people. You guys are making dick jokes, and like the guy's obsessed with it. Apparently, this guy, the big parasite, says it all the time. Makes people uncomfortable in this community. So here is the famous Rorschach test. This is, a test given to people to see what, it's an old psychoanalytic technique, a psychological test. And you see these ink blots that are, ink that they folded the paper over in half, so it's got mirror images. And they ask people, a psychologist shows a person these images and asks them what they see. And here, this is the big parasite having a Rorschach test. Big parasite, what do you see here? Oh, that's a dick. That's two dicks. Actually, this one looks like a little bit like a virgin. No, that's a dick. Oh, definitely a bunch of dicks. Oh, that's a bag full of them. That's a bag full of dicks. If you are not aware of it, but usually people see vaginas. Usually people see vajayjays in Rorschach, but not the big parasite, because that's all he sees. And like, it's just another weird thing about, the bear thing's weird, and everything is, it's just kind of a disaster there. It's just weird over there. It's just way weirder than I even knew. And people have commented about it, about him being, gay and these things, and not, whatever. Like, I've heard the rumors and whatever it might be, and I don't know, but it's weird. Like, it's just a weird obsession with very immature, and the tantrums, and maybe it's performative, maybe he's just controlled the opposition and he's just doing this to but he's been a cancer on the truth community, and that's well documented. All the people that he's gone after, all the drama, all the people that hate him, the people who were, a part of his. I mean, just read the comments and hear the stories. Some guy taped him, audio taped their conversation. He's trying to extort him. The way he tried to handle me, and, these things were mistakes that he's made, self-sabotaging. Like, him saying things about my family and going after me just gives me free reign. Like, I don't feel, when somebody attacks me in some way, that means I can just be blunt about my assessment. I'm not emotional. I'm not her. I didn't watch the videos. I didn't listen. I didn't know what exactly he said. But, he wrote stuff to me, and I scanned the bottom of it. It was so long I couldn't read it. And he was threatening me and saying that he could keep this up all day. And, I'm the one who was avoiding conflict. And I'm like, and he was going to send his trolls over. I'm like, your trolls are hilariously bad, right? Like, it's like, it's not an inconvenience to see these ridiculously stupid troll comments. This guy's thinking that I'm going to be destroyed by this thing. Like, it's a mild inconvenience. The original comment. And then this person wrote today, "You farted your life away, Paul." This is on my video from yesterday. You got a lot of real winners over there. So anyways, I'm not personally trying to prolong this thing, but it is kind of messed up. Like, his thing is messed up. His internal world, and, he's projecting out there, and he's always causing drama and doing these things. Like, it's a known fact. Like, if there's enough documentation out there. And you could just see the way he's reacted to me, just this one thing. This has been going on for a while. And the people don't want to see it, they're not going to see it. So that's whatever it is. But at some point as a human being, when you get that kind of feedback where everyone's telling you the same thing and the evidence is there, like he's completely oblivious to how like awful he is and, you know, the things that he's saying and how gross it is. And he has such a different set of rules for himself than everybody else because he can't take any criticism. And he has these tantrums. And there's this idea out there, I guess people are scared of his anger or his tantrums. But, you know, you give in to somebody who has tantrums, and they're not affecting me because, I have self-disciplined and, you know, meditating over the years has increased my will force. And, you know, I'm not going to watch this stuff. Like, I'm not going to, you know, like people, when they hear that somebody else is talking about them, they're like, oh, I have to watch what he's saying. I have no desire for that. Like, I've said it before. I've seen people say things about me on the internet, write comments, and I just let it go, right? I don't attend to it. And, you know, if I watched it, it would be personal, and there's no reason for this to be personal. You can see it's not personal here. I mean, he said stuff about me and my family and these things, and just the video I showed you, he said things that were wrong, misrepresenting things to his audience that I've said, and, you know, not being accurate at all, like not coming from a place of truth. This is not a truthful person, a dishonest person. And the dishonesty comes mostly from he thinks he gets to treat people some way, and he doesn't feel like he can get the same thing. If you give him some criticism, he goes ballistic. He's done it on his followers. He's done it on other truthers. He's done it, you know, wherever. Sure, in his personal life, you know, and he feels like he's a victim when people react. And this stuff I dealt with my ex, right? People who provoke other people, and then when there's a reaction, they claim to be a victim, and they, you know, get all their support system to feel sorry for them and talk about it, right? There's lots of comments in here about how he's had such a rough childhood. You know, he's a grown-ass man. He acts like a child, and, you know, he's a negative entity putting out negative energy, low vibrations, stealing stuff and wrecking something, you know, further wrecking something, the whole flat earth stuff and all the rest of it. Like, it's just, you know, it's like a negative thing. It's a cancer on the so-called truth community, the internet, and all these other things. And, you know, I'll be done talking about this hopefully soon. You know, eventually this will run its course. I had one more thing to add here. I got a bunch of clips of JoJo Magoo, like an epic gaffe, you know, a bunch of stuff, funny stuff mostly. But I got some more comments. I didn't copy them, but there's a bunch of comments saying, oh, I love both you guys, and I hope this stop things ends. And one person said, you know, he is a little negative, but at the end of the day, he's not nearly as bad as the people who control the system. There are a bunch of comments like that. You know, this is, I mean, he's kind of a jerk sometime, whatever, like, but it's okay. You know, it's just whatever. Apologists. And I don't know if those are just trolls trying to salvage something here. But the point is, he is as bad and even worse because he's here. And over the years, I haven't attacked truthers. There's some people who've made videos about me and I slammed them. But I've watched, you know, some clips and things people sent me, and people who I was like, oh, this guy sucks, or that guy, you know, this. And there's people who are better, right? You know, there's levels of what we do here. But I have never criticized these people in a way that, you know, some sort of beef-like thing. I don't talk about other truthers. Alex Jones isn't a truther. He's COINTELPRO, and I don't cover him very much. Usually when people will send me links or, you know, whatever it is, and something comes up. But Alex Jones has been a disaster for the truth community, and I've shown that. He's had a negative effect. He's, in some ways, woken people up, and therefore people are like, well, he's, you know, he does some good stuff, but no. He's been bad for the community, and there's lots of other people who have been bad for the community as well. Of course, the QBs aren't really truthers. They're following some, you know, psychological operation like the flat earthers, and so they've, you know, they haven't been good for the community either. But I don't cover them that much, right? Because, you know, they're relatively unimportant. Alex Jones a little bit more so. But the big parasite is here, engaging in a part of this process, watching my videos, and, you know, so-called in the truth community, and he's, you know, I mean, he might be a shill or controlled opposition or whatever. I don't know. But he's doing damage. And, you know, in ways that people are being hurt emotionally, they're, you know, being negatively affected. And, there's a connection between, he's formed a connection between himself and my channel, so that had to be addressed. And I'm going to continue to address it here until it's, like I said, played out. My policy has always been that if somebody, even like, Kyrie Irving or RFK Jr. or these other people, they might not be truthers and they're, in the show and they're celebrities. But if they just say something, positive, or having like this guy, Oliver Anthony, just a little bit of something, right? That's good enough for me. They don't have to be full-blown truthers. And, I'll talk about them in a positive way, even if they're shills, even if they're controlled opposition. Until I see they're actually doing damage, there's no reason for me to call them out. And other truthers as well. Like, who's to say, what value some of these other truth channels that I wouldn't like if I, that I don't like if I watch them, don't have value to somebody else. And there's people with power, and it isn't people in the truth community. So I have, hesitated to say anything negative about truthers for that reason. Or anybody who's just even pretending to be a truther. I don't, I might say, look, he's faking it, but it's still, better than not. Like RFK Jr., which I'll get into. I'm going to be a little bit critical of him, something he says here. But he's still better than the other candidates because he can articulate truther positions. So he at least knows the truther stuff, right? It's better than, The thing with Dr. Shiva is he was using his fake run for presidency as a way to elevate himself in the truth community. He was a narcissist, and people asked me my opinion of him, which I saw him the first time. I didn't really want to say anything. People kept on bugging me about it because I thought it was like a thing, and I was like, all right. But it was like, to me, a one-time thing, but then I saw the video with him and Big Parasite, and then it became a whole nother thing, right? But you can see by my track record, I stay away from truther feuds and, whatever. Like, I can't, it's not my job to keep the truth community pure. But there is things like what's happening with the Big Parasite that are different, that are something where, I felt, led internally that I had to say something, and, for good reason, because I can see the negative effect he's having. He's a cancer on the, the community and, the internet at large. Very recently, there was a guy, I didn't know he was still around. Like a few years ago, he became prominent, like a little bit prominent. He had like half as many subscribers as I did a couple years ago. But people are saying he was a shill, and he used, or I saw somebody sent me something he did, and I used it. And I said, this is this guy, right? And I didn't really know much about him. And, he thanked me on his show. Apparently he watched me. And people are saying, oh, he's a shill, he's, whatever. And I didn't get into it. And then he disappeared from my consciousness. And then maybe 5-6 months ago, I can't remember how far, in the recent past, he said that I should come out and admit I'm a part of a cult. And, he said it, and somebody sent me the clip or whatever. But it was at a time when I had already talked about how Dodgy had made the thing. I mean, the guy was a listen to my Journey series. So it was already like, but Sajmarg isn't a cult. When I started it with Chargy, it was a spiritual organization, right? And, I mentioned it. I didn't mention the guy by name, but I wasn't defensive. I didn't care, whatever. And I didn't attack him because, like, I just, it didn't matter to me. And, things like that, just whatever. Small, little, he gets to say that if he believes it, whatever. If he thinks I'm in a cult, he can say it. I don't, It's up for you. It's up to you to decide, right? You hear two sides of a story. You hear one person's opinion or another. You have to decide, right? That's how I feel about everything. And so I haven't, wanted to be a part of any of these sort of dramatic truth or beasts or any of the rest of it. And so this isn't what's going on here now. It's me seeing that there is like a cancer in the community, and it's been somehow connected to me. Again, like if he wasn't watching my videos and talking about me all the time and using my name as street cred, like for legitimacy, and using my material, it'd be different, but that's what he's done. And there had to be a reaction, and again, it came from a divine process, and then it developed into this, and whether it makes you uncomfortable or not, it's what I need to do. It's part of my, I've, like the truth that I'm saying here is that when I first saw this guy, and ever since, like I didn't have a good opinion of him. And I didn't think he was, the energy he was emitting is low vibrational. He's, somebody who's, negative person, and he's a fan of mine, and he, I don't know, looks up to me or whatever you want to call it. And, I could have said that over the years. I could have said that to hurt his feelings, or, I could have said my opinion of him. And, I didn't. Like, I didn't want to. Like, I didn't want to say something. I'm not being mean now. I felt like I had to say my opinion. And I did, because look at what's happened now. And it was way worse than I thought it was, his whole thing, what he was doing there. So this isn't some sort of beef. This is me just being, truthful like I always am about what I see or whatever. I could be wrong, but usually I'm, it's not, I'm never full out wrong. But in this case, I'm not. Like, so many other people feel the same way. It's obvious that this is, what this guy is, right? So there's that, right? So that's the, it's not a beef. I don't have some personal grudge against him, but like he shouldn't, be here. Like it's not, he's not a truther. He's not a benish. He's a parasite, right? All right, let's get into the other stuff. Okay, so I just got an amazing comment I'll get to at the end of this part, the screen flow part. One of my viewers sent me this. Maybe you've seen it already.
It's not hyperbole to suggest that there is no national treasure, none that is grander than the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon, one of the Earth's 9 wonders, wonders of the world.
One of my viewers sent me this.
The Grand Canyon, one of the Earth's 9 wonders, wonders of the world. Literally.
Not literally, Joe, because there's only 8. There are 8 wonders of the world that include the Taj Mahal and Machu Picchu and the Great Wall of China, some other things. And then there are 7 natural wonders of the world that include Mount Everest, Grand Canyon, and like Lake Victoria Waterfall, wherever that waterfall is in South Africa or Canada, Australia. I think it's in Australia. So there are 7 natural wonders and 8 wonders, and he went with 9. They're calling him out here on this as like the Independent, right? And so mainstream media is starting to cover this guy showing signs of being mentally unfit. And you already have all these voters, Democratic voters, are saying he's too old. And that's not going to get better because he's not getting younger. And so they got to make a decision here. I mean, they're about a year and a half out here, or a year out from what would be election day, a year and 2 months. So they got to do something. Kamala sucks. They know that. So, I mean, they're really boxed into a bad position here.
Think of that. It's amazing. Enduring symbol of America to the entire world. The first time I saw the Grand Canyon years ago, I was a young senator. As I stood there and looked out, a phrase came to mind. It was instinctive. I said, this is God's cathedral. That's what it reminded me of. It just is so magnificent.
Okay, so not God's cathedral, Bryce Canyon, which is, I lived in that area for a bit. And it's amazing, like the places out there. And my barber said he thought he liked Bryce better. I ended up living by Zion, in Utah. And I was in Vegas for a bit. And the north face of the Grand Canyon is so much better than the southern face because there's just less people. And that whole area is neat. It's up a little bit in elevation, so it's a little cooler, especially in the summer. But there are a number of canyons there in magnificent places throughout the Southwest. Bryce Canyon has far less people, and you can walk to the bottom very easily, and it's just, you've seen the pictures. I've shown you the pictures of the place. Not that the Grand Canyon isn't great. It's amazing, right? But there's places out there that people don't know about that are better. And he should.
As a matter of fact, I said 9. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world.
7 natural wonders of the world, right? The 8 is man-made, and the 7 are done by nature. And Niagara Falls isn't a part of it. These places, the Redwood Forest, there are better places. It's just arbitrary. But he's just he's so far gone. And they know it now, and, it's not going to be him. He's not going to run. They're not going to run him. Okay, so Hammer Guy, this is a double Hammer Guy episode. Democrats are kicking ass in elections after Dobbs ruling sends Democratic strategists. Democrats are kicking ass. They're kicking ass. There's at least 9 wonders of the world, and JoJo Magoo is one of them.
Campaign polls are notoriously unreliable the greater the distance from the election, which means presidential campaign polls are in their notoriously unreliable stage, and therefore...
Is that because Joe Biden is... nobody wants him to run? Like, you didn't say that when... I mean, like the transparency here.
Largely ignorable, but there is something worth paying attention to right now. Not poll questions asking voters who they will vote for over a year from now, but...
Exactly, because Joe Biden, by the time it rolls around, he's going to be a year older. He's going to be younger and better.
Actual votes cast by voters right now. That is what...
Exactly, that's important, because there's a story that supports this idea that Democrats are doing great.
Next guest, Simon Rosenberg, is paying attention to. Simon Rosenberg was the only polling analyst who I paid any attention to during the last congressional elections, when virtually everyone, except Simon Rosenberg, was predicting a so-called red wave for Republicans.
Exactly. The Simon Rosenberg says what I want to hear, and so that's a guy. He's not a real pollster. He's just some dude that says stuff that I agree with.
In the House and Senate elections, Republicans were going to win the United States Senate and win the House by big majorities. In fact, the Democrats added to their majority in the Senate, and Republicans were only able to squeak out a tiny majority in the House, which has left them dysfunctional as the governing party of the House of Representatives because their majority is so tiny, so that a group of...
Exactly. They're just like a small majority. So like it was, I mean, the Republicans suck. Let's get that out there. And anytime anybody says that they're going to win, we know you got to go to this guy Simon.
Republican members can currently hold the Republican Speaker and legislation hostage. Simon Rosenberg is now paying close attention to actual votes cast by actual voters in important places that can be indicators of what might happen in those important places next year.
Exactly. Democrats are kicking ass is what he's saying.
Rosenberg has analyzed 25 special elections this year and shows that Democrats are outperforming their winning year of 2020, when Joe Biden was elected, by an average of 8 points.
No way. It's going to be a landslide. Joe Biden's actually going to win. Everyone's going to go unhappy. We don't need to run anybody else. Even if he's dead, he's going to win. I mean, there's no worry. Republicans can't possibly win.
Those 25 special elections. Importantly, last night in New Hampshire, Democrat Hal Rafter defeated Republican James Gazofsky.
Gazofsky's tough. I mean, this is a big win for Grafter, for Grifter here, because Gazofsky is like, he's the best.
6-44 in a special...
Nobody thought Gazofsky was going to win.
Election to fill a Republican-held seat in the New Hampshire legislature. Donald Trump won that district both times he ran for president, in 2016 and 2020. It was a Trump...
Kaboom! So it'll be a big election.
...district until last night, when the Democrat won by 12 points. There is another special election scheduled for November in New Hampshire, and if the Democrats win that seat, the New Hampshire House of Representatives then will be tied at 198 Democrats, 198 Republicans. Joining us now is Simon Rosenberg, a
Boom! This guy knows stuff. He knows his stuff.
Democratic strategist and author of Hopium Chronicles on Substack. Simon,
opium, like they're stealing our stuff.
And speak to me for what I am, which is someone who's been completely...
A complete ass, and a guy who yells when there's hammering, and somebody who nobody really likes. Speak to me like that.
Ignoring any coverage of the presidential campaign, because I know what the Democratic ticket is going to be. It's going to be the Biden-Harris ticket. I know the Republican side sometime next year will come down to 2 lying clowns, one of whom will end up as the nominee. And until they get down to the 2 lying clowns, I won't...
Exactly. I'm going to go with the corpse and the witch that nobody likes.
I won't be much interested in the Republican side. What should we know right now?
Well, first of all, you're smart in the way you're approaching this, Lawrence. No big surprise.
No big surprise, Lawrence. You're the smartest.
But what you said in the beginning is really important. I mean, part of the reason I was able, along with my colleague Tom Bonnier, to get the election right in 2022 was that we were looking at data beyond polling.
Exactly, because polling is, things that tell you how people feel. And the data I was looking at is going to show how we're going to rig the election. So, mine's going to be more accurate.
And one of the most important bits of data we were looking at is what was happening in special elections after Dobbs. And we saw a huge heightened Democratic performance in those special elections.
Then we knew. Then we just knew. All right. So that's the hammer guy.
Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. I was lying to you before. All my other videos, it's time for me to be honest.
Big corporations now own Washington, D.C., and increasingly they control and monetize every aspect of our lives.
Let's be honest about that.
I'm running for president because I want to take back their power and put it back where it belongs, in your hands.
Yeah, I don't think the average person needs that power either, right? I mean, as bad as the Congress sucks, have you gone to Walmart lately? Like, I want the average slob to have as much power as a congressman.
Now, when you say that you're going to return power to the people and you actually mean it, some very powerful forces get scared.
They get scared. They get scared.
And then they get angry.
Then they get angry. First scared, then angry.
That explains the corporate media's outrage against me. But let's be clear. What they're really frightened of is you.
They're frightened of me? What did I ever do to them?
They're terrified of the idea that Americans will be back in charge of their country.
Exactly, because they've gone to Walmart recently. They see what Americans are like.
My opponents have Wall Street, they have big tech, big pharma, big ag, and the defense contractors. But I've got something that's potentially much more powerful than all those vested interests.
The Kennedy last name?
I have you.
Oh, you have us. Okay. I thought it was something real. I thought you had a real asset, something that you were going to...
We're never going to match the billions that they get from corporate contributors, but with millions of small donations, we're mounting a campaign that has them running scared.
Running scared.
And I need you to keep going. So
yeah, he does. He needs you to keep going.
Hey, I'm breaking with fundraising conventional wisdom. Most campaigns don't share their fundraising goals publicly because they don't want to be embarrassed. But we're not like most campaigns.
Yeah, we're not. And you're our secret weapon.
We are your campaign.
You are your campaign. In fact, you got to pay for it.
We want to raise $5 million before midnight, September 30th, to fund our ground operations across the country. That may sound like a lot, but I'm confident that we can get it done. Please consider giving today. Give $5 or $50 or $500 if you
one of the three. Just pick three. Like put it in a hat, $5, $50, or $500. Whatever you pull out, give that.
Afford it. And if you can't, and volunteer and help us expand our army across 50 states. Thank you for stepping up. Let's take back our country, and God bless America.
What he says here is my secret weapon, and that the government's scared of you only in the mob sense, right? Because, how can you be scared of people who are pretty much, glued to their couches, right? Like people are, because of the internet, and once in a while you see a protest, and they ran out some protests, those fake ones in 2020, all the stuff. But for the most part, unless there's cause for mass rebellion, like the breakdown of the economic system, food shortages, something big, something that, scares people, something that is, like slaps in the face when they realize the system they're 100% dependent on is fragile and can't support them. And so, there's things that this guy says that are truther oriented. They're closer to truther stuff than the other candidates. His constant relying on this idea that American people are doing great and can be trusted and are worthwhile is, a complete lie. Because most American people suck, right? The majority of American people we're worse now collectively than we were 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. And people keep on getting worse, idiocracy.
Tonight, a 4.5 billion-year-old cosmic rock about to land back on Earth.
Boom. Cosmic rock. It was here before. It circled the universe. It's coming back.
This spacecraft, as you see there, is carrying a sample of rocks and dust from an asteroid named Bennu. And it's entering Earth's atmosphere at a velocity of 36 times the speed of sound.
Wow, that's fast.
This sample is going to land in this desolate section of the Utah desert.
Wow, it's amazing. You got me. This story's fascinating. They have a rock, and it's coming via space, costing us millions of dollars to bring a rock back to Utah, which is a place where, they have lots of rocks.
That's important because Bennu overall is an asteroid the size of the Empire State Building.
Wow, okay, that's important.
Real chance of smashing into Earth in 159 years. If that actually happens, it would hit Earth with the force of 22 atomic bombs. So NASA's hoping that this sample that they've obtained could help them figure out a way to prevent an impact and learn a lot more, obviously, about asteroids. Out front now, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson. He is the head of the Hayden Planetarium.
This guy rocks. Just listen to this awesome scientist.
Host of Star Talk, and he just wrote his latest book, To Infinity and Beyond, A Journey.
He stole that from Buzz Lightyear.
Of cosmic discovery. So Neil, I relish all of our conversations. So you've got this asteroid, and it's incredible.
You're going to the doctor to get it looked at.
All the math of it. We get on there. You get a little piece of rock, all by robot, and they brought it home. So what?
This guy's always getting a piece of rock.
Can a scientist actually learn from this 4.5 billion year old rock that's about to land in Utah?
Absolutely nothing. We just blew $1 billion on this project.
Well, what we don't know for sure, when you think we would, but we just don't, is what's the structural integrity of asteroids. Only recently, recent decades, did we learn some of them might just be rubble piles gathered together that are masquerading as a solid object. Others are sort of loosely held together. This matters because if you want to deflect an asteroid that might be headed your way and you nudge one part of it, and it doesn't have the structural integrity to stay together, you can end up breaking off a piece and your mission would then fail.
Everybody knows the way that you deflect an asteroid is you train a team of oil rig drillers to be astronauts. You don't train astronauts to be oil rig drillers. You put them up in the asteroid and you have them put a nuke in it. Then you land on the moon and you erase all the telemetry data.
By looking at what the material contents of Bennu is through this sample return, which, by the way, we just have to just
boom. There it is, right there, middle of Utah.
Praise that this is working, okay?
Right.
I mean, look, I got to say, we launched OSIRIS-REx, this mission, 7 years ago from a moving platform, Earth, intersected a moving target, Bennu, an asteroid. It did a touch and go, grabbed material.
It did touch and go, just like those things. You ever see them play those things outside a supermarket with the claw? Another Buzz Lightyear Toy Story reference. It's kind of like that, except, we were successful. You never win those type of things. Those things are impossible. We pulled it off.
Material came back to Earth, deployed that capsule, and it keeps going. It's going to visit more asteroids. And then people are saying, "Oh, I don't trust science. I don't science this." It's like, do you know what we do? Yeah,
we're kicking ass, just like the Democrats.
Any idea?
I mean, do you realize what we did with COVID? We took. I mean, you have no idea how great we are.
I mean, it is pretty incredible. And then there's also the, oh my gosh, we can do that, and what a mess.
Okay, so over here, there's going to be something to do with the alien. All right, here it is.
So a Mexican journalist displayed bodies of two supposed non-human beings in front of the Congress in Mexico. Okay, each with three-fingered hands and elongated head.
Three-fingered hands.
Now, before we all mock the video, right? Because it's gotten a lot of mocking. It looks a lot like ET. But as I said, NASA
it's very easy to mock.
Announced for the first time a director of research on UFOs. So they are taking this overall topic more seriously. What's your take on this?
Well, first of all, I like what they did in Mexico. They had what they claimed are alien bodies. They brought it out in front of their Congress. That's better than leaving them in a locked box and saying you and no one else can get to see them. So that's a start.
It's a start, exactly. They're showing their little mini aliens to everybody.
In science, a new truth, an objective truth, is only established when multiple labs can analyze whatever your claim is. When we brought rocks back from the moon, we distributed them to all the labs of the world. So everybody...
Exactly, even though we didn't go. This is a lot like that.
Participated in that discovery. So here, bring out samples to others and let other people, skeptical people in other...
Oh, you broke one of his fingers? How do you guys, like, you had a perfectly fine mummified alien here and you effed up one of his fingers.
Labs test this. They'll either verify it or falsify it, and then we move on.
What was your reaction when you saw the images?
I was surprised because if they're from another planet, why do they look so human? They have 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, shoulders, hips, femur, a rib. Why? Most life on Earth...
They have a femur. All right, so this guy, the aliens have a femur, so he's surprised. This guy up here hasn't seen a femur in years. Okay, so I got a couple of comments to get to. I had one that was just platinum, and I got another one, and that's kind of interesting. And another one I deleted, but I got the basic idea of it. It's kind of hilarious. And so the first one, the person says this: I only subbed to you because of Big Parasite. Now, this is just a gem of a comment, right? So you're saying you're not in a cult, right? Your content is unbearable, and I would never have subbed to you on your own. But this guy told me to, so but now I'm letting you know this whole time, even though I never watched any of your videos or ever commented before. In fact, the only time that you ever knew that I exist is right now when I wrote this comment, which you may or may not read, but I want to let you know that I only subbed because of him. So take that. And so there's that part. There's a part of it that's, like just this is somebody saying they're in a cult, right? It's just a desperate cry for help. But more importantly, I always say this about people who say they're unsubbing because you do something they don't like. Well, that's a form of censorship to something that you claim to be, or at least, this is the kind of genre that you're watching, which is truth videos. And that I gave people my honest opinion. That I found this guy hateful and full of malice and these things that have been, he hasn't been hiding it, right? He's been a cancer on the truth community. Someone's just talking about this guy, David Crocco, who I kind of remember him. I don't, he used to write comments here sometimes. I guess he passed away, but he went at it with the Big Parasite. And, when he died, the guy claimed he was like this is a comment someone left. I'm not reading it, but it's there on my other channel. And, it's got a thread of other comments. And when he died, the Big Parasite said he was a shill trying to get him. And apparently he said the same thing about me, which we'll get into in a moment. But, if you're here because you want the truth, if I guess that's what people claim they want here or anywhere else, you're going for people to tell you the truth. But if every time somebody disagrees with you, you let them know you're unsubbing with this idea that your subscription means something, right? Like, how many people 200,000 people are? Like, that's how many subscribers I allegedly have. But out of that 200,000, I get 5,000, 6,000 views per video. And so, the subs almost mean nothing anyway. But 1 out of 2,000 is nothing, right? 200 out of 200,000 is nothing. But even if it was all my subs, it's still the way I feel. This is how I felt about the guy. And, everybody who's commenting, the majority of people who aren't a part of his cult all feel the same way. He's got lots and lots of haters, lots and lots of people who dislike him, lots and lots of people who used to be his fan, and he's pushed them away with this type of behavior. Also, I don't want pity subs. I don't want pity viewers. If you don't like my content, then don't watch it. Like, why would you? Don't watch it because your cult leader told me to watch. I don't want that. Like, I don't need pity views and pity subs. And so that's an epic comment. And their comment game over there, I mean, there's this other stuff that they're saying I put people to sleep. Like, these are the things they're trying to get at me. And I'm saying the guy's basically evil, right? But then there was this comment, and, it's very telling as well. Mr. Parasite is telling his people that Paul is an advert shill for Pfizer. That explains the comment I got earlier that they said that I was recommending the whoop. Some viewer that doesn't know me just took this guy's word for it because he's so trustworthy. Is an average shill for Pfizer or Pharma or something. If the Parasite listens to Paul as much as it seems, I have no idea where he'd spout this claim, but I've been confused by these kind of people before, never knowing where they're coming from. And so, I knew about my position on that type of medicine, the whoop, years and years ago, back when my first child was born, like 25 years ago. So that's been my position ever since. That is not for me, and I don't like allopathic medicine, and I don't take any pharmaceuticals, which many of you know. Like, I'll take some antibiotics. If I have to, I will. And they don't, I struggle with them. But I don't take over-the-counter medications that you get, all these things. I have a lot of, I want to say knowledge, but some knowledge of natural healing things, which I've talked about here, and now supplements and a growing knowledge of herbs and things like that. And my wife is, she's making tinctures even today. We're harvesting goldenrod. And so he knows that, right? If he's saying this, and I don't know, this person just leaving a comment, but if that's what he's saying, he knows that that's not true, and he's just out and out lying. And, like, it's stupid because my channel is small, and he's nothing. Like, Pfizer doesn't care about him. Like, he's an unpopular person. Like, in the truth community, he is probably the most hated person, which I'm just finding out now, and has been for years. And he's burned bridges with all these different people, and he doesn't have influence. I mean, he's on a paid subscription-based channel where, you only get to see him through paying to watch him. He wrote to me and said I put everything behind a paywall and expect people to pay for his content because his content's so great. And he said I was his go-to stream. So he's saying that I'm a Pfizer shill, but I'm his go-to stream. But the only person I'm attacking is him. I mean, like, this is the insanity, and this is the stuff his followers will believe. Again, I didn't watch it, but I found that hilarious if that's what he's doing. Like, he's going around saying all these things. Well, yeah, his followers believe him, but nobody else will. Right? Like, this is this is what you got. Somebody wrote me a long comment about how they needed to drink all kinds of coffee and have their wife slap them to stay awake for my streams. Like, that's where you're going with this? Dude, I'm calling you a parasite. Like, like, this is, and, not just because I'm making it up or something. This is parasitic behavior, which I've documented, not just with me, but with other people. Like, this is something that's known about him for a long time. Like, I knew less about him than most people in the truth community who don't like him, which is anybody who's come across this guy and some of these other, fights he's had with people in drama. They don't like him, right? Like, he has a group of people, which I discussed on my other video, who, they are people who are, fringe people, flat earthers, and people who are, like, blaming Jewish people for everything and some of these other things. And they found some community with him, but it's a fringe group. And he's a twisted guy. And someone else wrote, and I don't know if this is actually true, but he wants to team up with Dodgy and Dr. Shiva to take me down. Like, he said that, the guy said he's going to timestamp the thing. I deleted the comment, but I'm not interested in watching him. Like, he's dead to me. But that would be hilarious, right? That dream team of superheroes. Dodgy, Dr. Shiva, and Big Parasite are going to come and take my little channel. They're going to take me down. Anyways, only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting for the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.